Well, hello, friends. Welcome to another Teal Tinted Glasses podcast. It's just me solo. We wanted to get a show off the ground earlier before the playoffs started. Obviously, with the playoffs starting tomorrow, that's not going to be possible. So instead, I thought I'd just come on, quickly do a hit here in the afternoon, kind of go through some series, maybe answer some questions, because it looks like people are watching. Hey, awesome. I was scared I was going to do this with absolutely no audience, which makes solo shows very difficult. Good to be here, though. I apologize that we just haven't been able to get our schedules together to do something more full panel before the playoffs started, but I thought this would be the way to go, and I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that we can get at least a couple of us on maybe Saturday and talk about things so far. So again, if you're joining me, which has got to be pretty early for you guys out on the Best Coast, I appreciate you guys coming. I'm going to try and do this quick because I do have to go get my children at some point. So I guess we can get down to it. I'm going to start in the East, and then I will do the Sharks Golden Knights series last, and just kind of go through my predictions, kind of give, either just dumb reasons why or maybe some well thought out reasons why. And you might want to stop watching when I get to the Sharks Golden Knights series. I'm just warning you now. Spoiler alert, if you saw my Twitter, I wasn't joking, but we will get there before I make everyone that decided to tune in and watch angry or leave. Let's get some other predictions out of the way, and then we'll maybe even talk about a few other things that have just happened, like Joe Quenneville in Florida and such and such and such. All right, so I need to look at my bracket because I forget who's playing who. All right, so I'm going to start in the East. I'm going to start with the New York Islanders versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. I have the Penguins in this series. I have it being a 7-game series. I really like what the Islanders have done this year, and I think the Islanders are a great story. And if the Islanders went through, I would be, as a fan, I think I'd be ecstatic for them. I just, Pittsburgh's kind of had their ups and downs this season, but I just, it's hard to bet against Pittsburgh in any playoffs, especially in the first round. Like, I don't see this as a first round and out team. It's hard. I mean, this is a playoff proven team, and I just, to spoil. Well, I'm going to spoil it anyway, but I just feel like a Pittsburgh-Washington series is like a must-have in the playoffs at this point, right? Like, can we have a playoff series without Pittsburgh-Washington? I don't think so. You know what? I like the Islanders. I think the Islanders have a really good up-and-coming team. I just think that this is going to be a bump in the road for them, and I think it's a much-needed bump in the road for them. I think that teams that generally, a lot of great teams have hit adversity before finally finding their stride. And I don't see this being a Cinderella story for the Islanders. If it is, though, I'm all for it. And it's unfortunate that, they're going to have to face either Washington or Carolina in the next round, especially Carolina, because then it's just like, you can't have two Cinderella stories, and that's sad. But I don't know. So yeah, I have Pittsburgh in 7, and I feel pretty confident about that. Yeah. Also in the chat, I'm hoping that in the chat, sorry, we are doing the bracket challenge like we always do. I did make a league. I will make sure that I tweet it out again at some point after I'm done doing this. Probably when I'm converting this to audio or whatever, I'll make sure that I get that link out there again. If you go to the NHL's bracket challenge site and you look up Teal Tinted Glasses, I think you should be able to find our league, but I don't know. I haven't looked. All right, so moving on, we have everyone's favorite bunch of jerks versus the Washington Capitals. I honestly, guys, Carolina is such a great story this season, but this Washington team, this team won the Stanley Cup last year for a reason. I got the Caps in 5. I just think Washington's just the better team. Carolina had to kind of fight tooth and nail to get into the playoffs. And Washington's the defending champs. Is there potential for an upset here? I guess, but I don't, I'm trying not to be overly swayed by how much I like what they've done in Carolina this year with just actual playoffs. It's the Capitals. They're still really, really good. So I don't really have much else to say beyond that. I just think that Washington's the team here. Moving up into the Atlantic Division, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs playing the Boston Bruins. I like Boston in this series, and I like Boston in 6. I think it's going to be a series, but I just think Boston's the better team here. I think that Toronto has some defensive issues. I think Jake Muzzin's definitely helped, but he's not really being used the way I think that he should be used there. I just don't understand why a team with thinks Ron Hainsey's a number 2 defenseman. Like, I don't understand what Babcock's thinking there. And I think it's, I know that everyone, this is the series that's gonna, if you think that the playoff format is terrible, is insufferable right now, wait until the Leafs get bounced again in the first round. Then it'll be super, super loud, which will be unfortunate, but it is what it is. I don't mind the playoff format. I understand what it's supposed to do. I don't think things were terribly better. Like, unless you're going full 116, like you're going Q style 116. I don't think that the 1-8 system worked a lot better. Maybe it'll work better now with that there's only 2 divisions. Like before, you got to remember there was 3 divisions. It seemed like there was always that 3rd division that just sucked, and the team either made the playoffs in the 3rd seed, like got home ice advantage for a round, or they would have missed the playoffs entirely. So I don't. Kevin Lacey is lurking about. I did not expect this. I'm going to get Kevin Lacey on the show. Give me a second. All right, sorry, dead air. Good job, Ian. I'm just gonna kind of butter my. I like on the playoff format. Like the 1-8 system wasn't perfect either, because they always seem to like, oh well, if you're the top, if you're the top team, you get a top 2 seed. I mean, and I guess winning your division is kind of important, but I think unless they go like, I would rather, if they're gonna do it 1-8, I want to see 1-8. I don't care about divisions at that point. 1-8, reseed all the way through. That's a system I hate the idea of. Hey, it's Kevin.
I can't believe this work. I haven't been able to get this Hangouts app to work in like a year.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, I'm on my break at work right now. How's
That's
everybody doing?
Doing fantastic. Should be sleeping, not sleeping. I thought I would get this out of the way, get this kind of going. Kevin, I know we only got you for probably a quick little time here. I already did the Metro already. What's your predictions for the Metro? Let's start with Washington, Carolina.
That's going to be a fun series, I think. Carolina, of course, is one of the darlings of the league this season, and Washington's the Stanley Cup defending Cup champs. But at the same time, will Washington ever really, how do I want to say, like, there's always going to be that stigma about can Washington do it? They did it last year, but I feel like they're that kind of team that just you can't fully trust. And so I, believe it or not, I'm going to say Carolina in 7 games.
Wow. All right. I like it. I like it a lot. What about the Islanders and the Penguins?
again, a fun series because the Islanders, if the Hurricanes aren't the darling of the season, it might be the Islanders just because of the whole John Tavares gate and all that. And then, the goaltending that should have been rotten was among the best, if not the best, in the league this season. But man, it's kind of like the counter to the Washington argument in that Washington winning a cup and still, can they really pull this off again? Pittsburgh is that team where it's like, I'll believe that they're eliminated when they get eliminated. So,
that's where I'm at with the Penguins too.
Yeah, so I'm going with Penguins in 6 on that.
All right. And then
By the way, I am coming up with this all on the fly because I haven't even done my bracket. So you are absolutely hearing it first, because I'm hearing it first as it comes out of my mouth.
Boston, Toronto.
Oh, yeah. Well, last season, or maybe it wasn't last season, it was the preseason predictions that we did. I said Toronto would be out in the first round, and booyah, I'm holding to it. Boston in 5.
Ooh, I got Boston in 6, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, Boston. I mean, to me, Boston's great this year, and they would get so much more publicity if Tampa Bay wasn't that much better still.
Yeah, to me, in my opinion, like if Boston's in the Metro, they're going all the way to the Cup final.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay, which brings us to Tampa, Columbus. I think I have Tampa in 4.
I would like to say Tampa in 6, but I'm gonna, sweep is hard to argue against. I'll say Tampa in 5 because it usually takes a lot for me to go on a sweep here, and usually when I do, it ends up being a 5-game series.
Right? Yeah.
So I'll say Tampa in 5.
All right.
Sorry, Columbus.
Yeah, it's sad too because I really like what I like a lot of things about Columbus. I love the fact that they went all in, even if and I feel bad because it's like if they didn't make the playoffs, I'd be a lot more concerned about Jarmo Kekalainen. But even getting bounced, if they get bounced in the first round in quick fashion, after all the moves that he made, like, you have to wonder, is Jarmo going to be safe after this, right? Because, like, it's one thing to go all in, but if it blows up disastrously in your face, I personally would rather the GM that goes all in, but, it's the NHL.
Yeah, for me with Kekalainen, the argument in favor of it is he can take it to the owner and say, look, I'm willing to do anything I can to make this team win, whether it's go all in or rebuild or whatever. He's tried a bunch of different things. The flip side is you tried a bunch of different things and you're still not going to win. How much more faith can you get? But I don't know. I feel like Jarmo Kekalainen really is one of the truly respected GMs in the league more than most. So I think in that regard, he'll be fine. But boy, oh boy, say next year, if their rebuild, if just people can't handle the fact that they may have to rebuild, I don't think they do. But if that's the route they end up going, then he might not be safe.
Yeah, I look at this team, and obviously losing in Timmy Panarin is going to be, it's going to hurt. Bobrovsky's been better lately, but for a guy in a contract year, not a great season.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Outside of San Jose, has Columbus had the most disappointing goaltending in the league this year?
I don't know.
They're in there.
Been okay. Yeah, they'd be definitely in the conversation. I think Korpisalo's been a pleasant surprise for them, shouldering as much as he did. Whereas I feel like in San Jose, we can't say that for our backup goaltending.
Yeah, and even NHL Network has stopped defending Jones and Dell at this point.
Wow.
So, yeah, because I was watching a little bit of their preview last night, and they were saying, we thought Aaron Dell was going to be the quintessential backup in the NHL, and he's not.
It hasn't, not this year, man. Not this year.
At least not this year. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So let's go to the West, and I have the Winnipeg Jets over the St. Louis Blues. Central's been so weird to this year because it started out being like everyone thought like this was going to be like maybe not the division in hockey, but definitely the division in the West. And it seemed like for the last month, no one wanted that top seed.
Yeah, I don't know. I was astonished to find out St. Louis nearly won the Central.
Right. After almost missing, like after being ridiculously out of the playoffs, they storm all the way back and come and, take the Central. The reason I have the Jets here, though, is I just like, to me, the Jets are built for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like you look at this roster up and down, this is a team that's built for the playoffs. And as much as I think St. Louis, you're kind of playing with house money at this point.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that Hellebuck has taken the Jets to the Western Conference Finals, whereas Jordan Binnington's never been in a playoff game. Definitely in the AHL he has, but not in the NHL. And, you don't get experience without getting the experience, but
right.
I don't know. I still have more faith in Hellebuck riding the ship. It's kind of the same way in that I still think Martin Jones can right the ship in the playoffs for the Sharks. If I believe that, why would I not believe Hellebuck could do the same for the Jets? You're right that they're built for the playoffs. I still not the biggest fan of the Kevin Hayes acquisition that they had.
Right.
But I mean, for all the depth guys that they added in, I think Winnipeg's biggest fault would be their health on the back line. Other than that, it's got to be them. But the Blues will put up a fight. I'll say Jets in 6. The Blues will put up a strong fight, and they've got a lot of guys out to prove themselves, for not just this year, but for next year too. So
I have this as a 7-game series. The reason I don't like doing 7-game series because like if I say 7 games, it generally means I don't know. like 6, I'm pretty confident. Then my prediction 7, I'm really wishy-washy, which is kind of why I have the Islanders and Penguins as a 7-game series too. Like I'll believe Pittsburgh's out when they're out, but I could, there's a part of me that could see the Islanders pulling it off, and there's a part of me that can see the Jets pulling, the Blues pulling this off, right? Because like Winnipeg's a team built for the playoffs, but also like Patrick Laine's had a rough year. Ehlers has had an okay year. I don't think I'd call it a great year. And those got to be concerns for the Jets going into the playoffs. So I'm a little wishy-washy here. But I believe that this Jets team is built for the playoffs, and they should dispatch the Blues.
You do have a point though about the Blues in the sense of, hey, nobody expected the Blues to get this far, especially how their first half of the season went. So who's to say they couldn't pull off an upset in the first round? Because I think all bets are off with that team at this point. You just kind of see how it happens, see what happens.
And it's going to be interesting to watch because, like you said, it's just interesting because you always wonder about a team that has to do so much to get where they are. Is there going to be enough gas left in the tank after basically having to just, pedal to the metal since Christmas, basically.
Yep. What else we got?
Nashville, Dallas.
Man, I think I picked Dallas as one of my surprise teams this year, but yet at the same time, I always root against Dallas. I can't stand those guys. I love Tyler Seguin, but just the original Sharks arch rival, arch nemesis, I can't ever root for Dallas. So plus, I picked Nashville to win the Cup this year. That was my preseason prediction. And while I do think it's Tampa's Cup to lose, I still like to just hold on. Got to earn those extra foreseen points, as Hockey Jerk puts it. So you know what, though? I have to go with Nashville. I do think they will represent the Western Conference regardless of what happens. They are my Western pick. I don't know if they're my Cup pick, but I'm going to hold to it. So I'll say Nashville in 5.
I have Nashville in 5 as well. I think that Dallas is a fun team, but I just think against a team like Nashville, Nashville's just such a better team. And they certainly haven't played like it this season.
Yeah. But they didn't 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they kind of lulled their way into the playoffs and then went to the Stanley Cup Finals. They were the underachieving team all year 2 years ago, and then they made it. So I think they can pull it off again.
I just think on paper they're such a superior team to the Dallas Stars.
But hats off to Jim Montgomery for doing his damnedest to turn this team around. The Stars, I mean.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So we have the what is it? Calgary and
Colorado. That's going to be a fun series, like a super fun series. I was actually surprised to see that Calgary swept the season series, because even though Colorado only got hot, they kind of bookended their season. They were really hot to start because one line carried them, and then they were really hot to finish the season, going, I think it was unbeaten in 11 in regulation until the Sharks beat them on the last night of the season. But
which is a throwaway game,
yeah. Mikko Rantanen, obviously, he's like injured, but
he's questionable to start the series.
To me, that says he'll be back by game 3, if not game 2. So I think that'll be fine. This is a series that I'm going to go Calgary in 7, because I really think that while Colorado, there's a lot of questions about their depth and whatnot, I feel like every year, or at least in recent memory, they're that team that really shows a lot more than you'd expect. And even though Calgary has really looked strong here down the stretch, I still want them to prove it, like when it matters.
Yeah, I have the Flames in 6. I think I might have had this as a 7-game series if Rantanen was a for sure go. I said before on our last show that there could be some upset fuel here. I think the West really is really wide open. Like, I don't think there's a clear favorite in the West this year.
Yeah. You're right.
So it's going to be interesting to watch the West, where I think, like, in the East, there's a couple teams that could really, wouldn't surprise me to go all the way. The West is jump ball. The East, you have Tampa, you have Boston, you have the Capital. Like, it wouldn't be surprising to see any of those 3 teams in the Stanley Cup final. Where the West, I don't even want to tell you what my West finalist. So that brings us to San Jose and Vegas. I'll let you go first before everyone turns off the podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, before everyone turns on me, I conveniently have to go back to my desk right now. So okay. Vegas in 6, bye. No, but I do have Las Vegas winning in 6 games in this series.
You were supposed to be the counter to me. You're supposed to make people happy, Kevin.
You got to bring Hockey Jerk on for that, I guess.
Okay, I guess.
But yeah, I have Vegas in 6. With the injuries to Karlsson and Pavelski, I think there's a lot more going on. We can speculate all we want, sure. But I'm going to speculate that it's even worse than we think. So, boy, it's getting loud over here. So I just think that I think the goaltending will be fine. I think it's the inconsistency of the defense is what's going to do this team in, and the fact that you can't score your way through the play. You usually, at least back in the 80s, you could score your way through the playoffs.
Right.
The playoffs are all about tight forechecking, tight defense, and the scoring usually dries up, and then it's a battle of attrition. And while the Sharks do have a power offense, it's one of those situations where, okay, take half of that offense away. Can the defense overcome the typical playoff offense? I don't know if I believe in them. So that's why I'm going with Vegas in 6. I think Vegas will be out in the second round. So there you go, Sharks fans. But
I agree. I mean, I look at this team and I don't believe in this team. I love this team to pieces. I think it's obvious. It should be obvious to anyone. I know there's a lot, I've gotten some flack on Twitter, like, I bet you're going to jump on the bandwagon if they win. Well, I haven't jumped off the bandwagon. Like, I'm still a Sharks fan. I'm not suddenly a Vegas Golden Knights fan. The Sharks, I just don't believe in this team. And, if you're looking for a silver lining in that, the last time I didn't believe in this team, they went to the Stanley Cup final. So
true.
maybe there's something to that, right? But
yeah, for
me, like, I'm sorry, I trust Marc-Andre Fleury way more than I trust Martin Jones at this point. Yep. Even given his previous playoff collapses, like, he kind of put an end to that last year. I mean, this wasn't this, it wasn't Matt Murray that was winning that was getting Vegas to the Stanley Cup final last year. It was Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah.
And I trust Fleury more than I trust Martin Jones. I don't like the fact that it's looking like Donskoy is going to sit, and as much as Donskoy, hasn't been a great factor for the Sharks this year. Donskoy out, Haley in. I can't reconcile that. Like, you have Vander Kane.
I do have to jump in on that real quickly in that, it's kind of eye-raising that Michael Haley is going to be in game 1, it looks like. I got to think that Haley will be out here game 2, game 3. I think it's one of those, like, statement things. I don't know if that's necessarily going to work, though, because, like, I think if anything, you're just saying, okay, well, we Vegas in this case, we won't try things in game 1. We'll just wait for Haley to be out in game 2 and then do them there. Like, either set that precedence for the whole series, which is like, I don't know,
yeah,
or you avoid it completely. And
like, what's the Sharks penalty kill this year? Not great.
Yeah. It goes back to the defense.
Right, and that's the problem. You're going to put a guy who's going to take penalties into a game where you don't want to take penalties because it's a playoff game.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like your PK's been so fantastic that it's not going to be an issue. Like, it concerns me. And then on the blue line, like, you guys know that I like Joakim Ryan. I'm a Joakim Ryan guy, but he hasn't exactly been great since coming back into the lineup.
Yeah,
I know Peter DeBoer likes his lefty-righties, but man, Tim Heath should be playing here, in my opinion. I think it's the playoffs. You play your best players. Joakim Ryan has not been in the best 6 defensemen on this team. With Shimmick out, so I think Heath should be playing. The pairs are confusing to me. Like, you have Burns and Vlasic, which has been a disaster in the past.
Hey, Ian, I'm going to bounce out. So
okay, yeah,
have a good rest of the show.
Thank you.
Thanks
for coming on. So I look at just continue what I'm saying here. Like, I look at the defense pairs that are probable. You've got Vlasic and Burns. Vlasic and Burns have been a disaster in the past. Maybe they work things out. I do like Carlson Dillon. Brendan Dillon's been such a great defenseman for the Sharks this year. And I never thought I would, ever be on the show saying, wow, Brendan Dillon's been one of our best defensemen. But he, here we are, he has. And then you have Justin Braun and Ryan, which just to me feels like a black hole. Like that. Justin Braun hasn't been good this year. Joakim Ryan hasn't been good this year. Skylar, I'm hoping with all the negativity that I'm about to spew here that the Sharks are going to prove me wrong, and I'm going to be ecstatic to be wrong. Because again, like, you can approach this and you can approach your predictions in one of two ways. You can go the total fan route and you can just say, yeah, man, my team's going to win it all. And that's great. And I get that. And I understand people, like, I'm never going to tell someone how to fan, but I feel like, I always try to be honest. And I'm looking at these issues that I'm laying out. And then you have, on the other side, you have a Vegas team, which has it pretty together. The William Karlsson line is going to get probably the lacks of the defensive pairs against it because you have to cover the Stone line. I just don't like the Sharks' chances here, and I hate that I hate that I say it because, like, I feel like this team should be better, but I just, and again, lineups can change. Like, obviously, Peter DeBoer is not going to be beholden to this game 1 lineup for the rest of the series. I just hope that by the time he figures out what he's done, he can fix it. You know what I mean? So I'm just hoping it's not going to be kind of like a repeat of last year where, Paul Martin played in 2 games and it was just 2 games too many and the Sharks could just not get back in the series. And I want the Sharks to win. I'm still a Sharks fan. Like, I'd be ecstatic if I'm wrong. I just don't like their chances. And I have the Knights in 6, and I hate that I have to say that, but I do. And it's unfortunate that injuries, this season, I mean, I was really high on the Sharks at the start of the season. It's frustrating that here we are today. And I'm like, after being so high on this team at the start of the season, saying, this is a Stanley Cup team, like, with some of the injury questions still lingering. And, it's hard to it's hard for me to just put on the teal tinted glasses per se and just say like, yeah, the Sharks totally have this and it's gonna be a walk. I even if the Sharks get this, I think it's gonna be a long series, which you kind of don't want in the first round. You know, you kind of want to get done. You kind of want to get done quickly. But yeah, so I mean, so those are my predictions. I hope that you guys, you know, don't hate me too much for them, because I'm super excited. I have to let my dog in quickly, but I'll be right back and I'll answer some questions and we can talk about a couple other things quick before I have to get out of here. Apologies. Yeah, you know, Jay Clark in the chat, you know, Sharks trend going into the playoffs has me pretty down about their game as well. I mean, I'm not going to get too excited about a throwaway game against the Colorado Avalanche. You know, like, I know it's easy to do, and I know, and again, I'm not going to tell anyone how to fan. I'm not putting too much emphasis on that game as, oh, that's it. Martin Jones flipped the switch and everything is great. Do the Cuda win the Pacific Division? They could. I wish Kevin was still on. He would have a better idea of how likely that is. I think that this Barracuda team is obviously getting some players. I'll get to that comment from Vince in a second. I can't even scandal in junior hockey. I have nothing right now. I know it was about the team got their picks taken away for doing something outside of the rules. I don't have any more information on that. Vince G, imagine being the Sharks media intern after the Sharks get bounced in the first round and you have the PDB contract extension tweet saved in your drafts waiting to post. Man, Condors, catching up the Condors, I think, going back to the Cuda, yeah, the Barracuda second place, Condors are in first. You know, it's the time of season where you obviously start getting reinforcements from, you know, junior teams that are eliminated and whatnot. But I think, you know, but that's the same for every team. The Condors have been really, really better than I expected they would be this year. I think better than a lot of people thought that they would be this year. Yeah, I mean the Barracuda, they're in there. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull ahead, but it's possible. What upset in round one? This is coming from Jay Clark. What upset in round one would you like to see besides San Jose over Vegas? I don't want to see San Jose. I mean, yeah, San Jose over Vegas. I do want to see that. What am I talking about? See, now I'm all screwed up. An upset that I would like to see. I you know what? If I'd go back to the East. I like you know, Carolina taking out Washington or the Islanders taking out Pittsburgh. That could be a lot of fun. And I would not be upset to see either of those teams get another round of playoff action in, as unlikely as I think it is. And you know, Colorado beating Calgary wouldn't be a terrible thing, especially if the Sharks can make it through. I like the Sharks' chances in the second round series against Colorado much better than I like their chances against Calgary. So yeah, I think that that's good. It's never too early to ask, how is this year's draft class looking? I know I haven't looked at the draft class this year in any depth. The top looks great, as always. I think the top has some outstanding, like year 1 through 5, I think is going to be just sick players. But beyond that, I haven't really done my homework yet. That's definitely something that I will be doing going forward, kind of looking at the rankings and going to see, you know, basically try and compare to things that I've seen with my own eyes, and then kind of go from there. But I think 1 through 5, it's a sick draft class. Absolutely sick draft class. Could need to win out their last 3 games, while the Condors need a loss in regulation into it. Yeah, so it's going to be anything's possible. I wish like that. I think that's the one thing that my work schedule, like I really wish that I wish that that I was able to catch more Barracuda games, because I paid for the AHL Live, and I just once my work schedule changed, it just became very difficult to keep up with the Barracuda and the Sharks and everything else. And I wish that I could have done a better job keeping up with the Cuda this year, for sure. I mean, that's one of my regrets. How many picks do they have? 3 total. Yeah. The Sharks, according to Yield Cap Friendly, have. Where's Cap Friendly? There we go. Cap Friendly has the Sharks with a 3rd round, a 5th round, a 6th round, and a 7th round. Yeah, well, the 3rd round's a throwaway. So 5, 6, 7, though, who knows what they'll draft there? I have no idea what they'll draft there. But the 3rd round pick, that's just a throwaway. I don't know why they didn't trade that away. Maybe they still can at the draft. Yeah, Kevin's saying that he wants to get a Barracuda show in this weekend if he can, and I hope that we're able to do so. That would be super fantastic. I'm trying to think of anything else. Joel Quenneville gets hired in Florida. I think that was it seems like an odd choice, considering like some of the jobs that he probably turned down. But then I think when you look at the Dale Talon connection, I think that that's obviously a big reason why he went there. It could be worse. Yeah, Columbus has 2 picks in the entire draft. Good old Columbus, man. They had to go for it though. But back to what I was saying. Yeah, I think Quenneville in Florida on the outstand doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't think Bob Bugner was. Maybe he wasn't great in Florida. I don't think he was the entire problem though. Luongo definitely started to show his age this season, and there's a lot of questions about obviously what his thing going forward is, and there's a lot of interesting things there. I mean, they could LTIR him, I guess, but I feel like you have to have an actual injury to be on the LTIR, and being old doesn't cut it. I don't think being old's an injury, but maybe in the NHL it is. I don't know, but the cap recapture penalty on the Canucks when they have to, re-up some guys, some big guys too. Like some Elias Pettersson kids will probably be up when the cap recapture will. I don't know. Like, I think Florida, like they need a goalie. So if they can, a lot of talk is about Bobrovsky going there. I think the one thing with Joel Quenneville in Florida is it's going to make it more, not that the no state tax isn't good enough, but I think when you put a guy like Joel Quenneville there, I think free agents take notice. And so the idea of the Panthers, scooping up a guy like Bobrovsky in the offseason doesn't seem as out there as it might have. Right. Yeah, I don't know. Kevin's saying I think doctor said Luongo's career is over, but I don't know why. Yeah, and I don't have I don't have it in front of me either. I'm sure there's a valid reason. So they could LTIR him for the remainder of his contract. But I like Team Chaos. I want cap recapture penalties and retirements, and I just like these things. Too early to speculate. Kerr's speculating on Erik Karlsson coming back. Like, Erik Karlsson's a big question mark for me, man. Like, I know he played against Colorado and he looked good. I thought he looked fine against Colorado, but man, I'm not. Again, you know what? This is a team. This is a team that against Edmonton, skated Joe Thornton on one leg. So I don't. This is part of the reason I don't trust this team, because I can't trust that when they say that their players are healthy, that they're actually healthy. And that's the problem for me. And I just, that's part of the problem. I have faith in this team because I don't trust when they say their players are healthy. I don't trust Martin Jones. Like there's a lot that stinks about this team right now. Over under, will there be 5 overtime games? This is from Race Fan Rocks. Will there be 5 overtime games in the first round? Oh, I'll take the over. I'll absolutely take the over on that. Yeah, over 5. Yeah. Yep, I'll take the over. Todd McClellan looked like he was going to be in, he was like going to be in LA. Now there's talks that he might be in Buffalo. I don't hate Todd McClellan as much as other people in the Sharks blogosphere do. I think that, look at Todd had some really good season here. He had 2 conference finals where we got destroyed, but still, Todd, he had good seasons here. I think that like anything, the coach has a shelf life, and I think his was definitely up when he left. Like when he left, that was the right thing for both parties. I don't think Todd McClellan's a terrible coach. I think he's done well pretty much anywhere he's coached. And I think that the fact that Edmonton just continued to suck under Ken Hitchcock kind of, I think a lot of teams maybe aren't looking at him as intently as they do now. If the Oilers didn't suck as much under Hitchcock, there was problems in Edmonton with Todd McClellan for sure. But I don't think he was the biggest problem there. Obviously that was Peter Chiarelli. So I'm not really surprised that Todd McClellan's going to get another look from another team. I would rather him go to Buffalo than Los Angeles. I just, look at the Sharks fired Daryl Sutter. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that Todd McClellan's Daryl Sutter, man, but like the Sharks Sharks have bad luck with coaches coming back in. Daryl Sutter came back in with Calgary. We know how that ended. He came back in with LA for a couple of series, so we know how those ended. One of those series I don't even remember. So I always get, from maybe a little superstition there, I always get nervous about an ex-coach being on a division rival and coming back in. Even Todd McClellan beat us with that. Not that he beat a very depleted Sharks team, but still on the winning side of it. The CWHL folding. Oh, that's a great question. It's disappointing. I think. I think especially for hockey in Canada, I think it's brutal. I think what's the top level of women's hockey in Canada now? University hockey. For maybe 4 years. I think that's just really, really, really sad. I'm a big proponent of there needs to be one league, and the NHL needs to be the one to kind of carry the torch. And I think as long as the NWHL is a thing, that's not going to happen. But if you're gonna put players, if you're gonna put a league in and try and grow it, I think you need some finances that are going to weather some losses. And I think a perfect example of this would be like the WNBA. I'm sure the NBA took a crap ton of losses on that when it started, but it's one of those things that you have to stick through, and then it'll continue to grow. And I think that, if there was, one league with a little more financial backing to it, and that could get it through the rough patches and try and, because I think I think for sponsorship money and stuff too, like once the NHL would actually be involved, I think that, the sponsors will be a little more willing to really get in there. Right. And I think that right now, look, it did a lot of numbers for the CWHL, did a lot of numbers for its championship game, but they were still a drop in the bucket compared to other sports. It sucks. I think it sucks for women's hockey. I think women's hockey is great. I think that it's definitely a kick in the pants. Because I think, there's a bunch of players now that are likely, I guess they could go to Europe, but there's not a whole lot of money in Europe either for them. It's a tough way to make a living right now, being a women's hockey player. And it's unfortunate because, you know, CWHL had some great talent in it, and it is what it is. It's unfortunate. I think it's sad, but it's one of those things where, you know what, I can count the number of CWHL games I watched on one hand. So, I mean, I'm definitely part of the problem in that respect. I think if for these things to work, people have to vote with their feet. They have to get up and go. They have to watch. They have to, you know, it's one thing to say you support women's hockey, but then there's another thing to, you know, to buy the merch and make sure that you're watching the games. And, you know, I can't say that I can't say that I did my part there. You know, so, and I think that's, you know, that's got to change. For a lot of people like me that, you know, say they support women's hockey, need to do a better job of actually supporting women's hockey. That is my take on that. We are 45 minutes. I'll take a couple more questions and then I got to get out of here because I got to get my kids soon. But again, I appreciate everyone. I didn't expect to have a bunch of people watching. I knew it was kind of early over there on the West Coast. And it was kind of just like a thing where I'm like, well, I could go back to sleep, or I could probably do a thing quickly now and nap later, which is probably what I'll do. So I appreciate everyone coming on and watching me babble on about playoffs and other things. So I'll see if there's any other questions, and then hello, and then I'm gonna get out of here. So I'll give it open floor. I'm trying to think of anything else that's going on in the wonderful world of hockey that I haven't touched on. Slava Voynov suspended next year. The league, I just read this on Twitter not too long ago. Slava Voynov is not able to return until the end because he was suspended indefinitely, and the NHL set a definite date on that. So Slava Voynov is not going to be allowed to even re-enter the league until July 1st, 2020, which, I mean, I think that's it is what it is. I don't know. I mean, I think that I knew the NHL wasn't going to keep him out forever. So I guess it's kind of what I expected. Yes, join the Teal Tinted Glasses bracket on the NHL thing. I'm going to tweet that out. I'll try and tweet that out a couple of times today, so watch my Twitter for that. Okay, so Skylar has a question. Which current Sharks prospects can either be Black Ace in the playoffs or make the squad next year? I mean, Black Ace depends on what the Barracuda does. I think that make the squad next year. That's such a tough question because I don't even know what the squad looks like next year. Like, there's a lot of questions. We'll assume Joe Thornton will be back next year, but until he signs on the dotted line, will he be? We don't know what's going to happen with Erik Karlsson this summer. You know, Joe Pavelski. This team has got a lot of flux, but I think you're going to see some of the younger guys on the team simply just for cap reasons, especially if they get their way. And let's say Erik Karlsson comes back and they sign Joe Pavelski to hopefully not too outrageous of a deal, you know, and Joe Thornton comes back. They're going to have to backfill with cheaper guys, and you would hope that you would get some of the kids getting a look rather than bringing guys like Michael Haley. But this is the Sharks, so man, I wish I could just like say off the top of my head, but I don't have anyone that I think of and say next year they're a clear-cut NHLer. That's Ford prospect, Chmielewski, Mario Ferraro. I can't even argue. I can't argue that with those. I don't know if Chmielewski's on the team next year. I'm trying to remember even if he has another year left in Ottawa or not. I can't remember. I don't think so. Ryan Merkley, I don't think he's fallen off. He's still there. Like, talent-wise, he's still there. It just the trade to Peterborough could have gone better for him. You know, I know he was benched. He got benched a couple of times. But a lot of the Peterborough veterans got benched a couple of times at the end of the season to kind of send a message from the coach, which is ballsy, and love it. He just didn't. Yeah, Chmielewski. I just can't see Chmielewski being. I love Chmielewski. I just don't know if he's an NHLer next year. I feel like he's a Barracuda next year, which, in my opinion, that's where you want him. You want him getting as much ice as possible. It doesn't make sense to skate him 5 minutes on the fourth line in the NHL. So I don't think Merkley is necessarily fallen off. I just think that some of those quote unquote character issues are still prevalent, and it's concerning. I think that Sharks fans should at least be concerned, but this is what happens when, yeah, exactly. NHL level scoring upside and ECHL level defending. That's Vince. I could not have said it better myself. So I think that with Merkley, he's got to work out his defensive game. He needs to defend at a pro level, and it's going to be interesting to see that part of his game develop. But this is what happens when you swing for the fences, though, man. You swing for the fences on a boomer bust prospect. Sometimes they bust, and I'm not saying, like, play the little record scratch. Not saying that Ryan Merkley is a bust at this point. I'm just saying that you should be concerned. I feel like Mario Ferraro is the more complete defenseman. Among Sharks prospects, who could make the jump to the NHL quicker, Sasha or Ivan? I like Chmielewski, but I'm really biased here. I've seen a lot more of Chmielewski than I have Chekovic, and I think that might taint my version. But I really, really like Chmielewski's game. There's nothing spectacular about it, but he's just well-rounded and solid. And look at, yeah, exactly. Ryan Merkley's what, 19? This going to turn 19, 18, I think, because he was young when he was drafted. He's turning like 18, 19. Like, this kid's got a lot of hockey ahead of him. I am not by any. Please do not walk away from this podcast saying, "Oh wow, man, Ian just completely wrote off Ryan Merkley." I'm not writing the kid off. There's a lot of time for him to get it around. I just think that it's fair to be concerned. So I don't come away from this saying that I've completely soured on Merkley. I have not. Right, turning 19 this summer. So there you go. So I'm not. I still think that he has just, he has all-world offensive talent. It's just an issue of whether he can figure it out on the blue line. That's, on his end of the blue line. So, and I believe that to be correct. He's turning 19 this summer because I think he was. I know his birthday's funny. I think he was 17 when he was drafted. Other than that, though, guys, I do need to get out of here. I have gone 15 minutes, which is more than I expected. I hope you enjoyed my playoff predictions, even though I didn't maybe pick the team we all wanted me to pick, and I get that, and I apologize. I hope that you can at least understand my reasoning behind it. I hope my reasoning behind it makes sense to you, even if you don't like it. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope 100%, 150 million% hope I'm wrong. I would not. Nothing would make me be happier than the Sharks going on to the second round and the third round and the fourth round. I just need to see it. I have a collapsed faith, and I need them to restore that faith for me. And it's on them. Okay. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for coming on. Absolutely, Luminato, tweet. You can always tweet at me at Ian Blogs Hockey. I want to thank Kevin for hopping on his break at work. Totally unexpected and totally awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin, for being on. At Kevin Lacey 22 on the Twitter machine. And again, I'm hoping that we will get some sort of show this weekend. I know Kevin's talking about getting a Barracuda thing going. I'm hoping that we can get a couple of things done this weekend. Beyond that, though, hopefully our schedules don't play too much more havoc with us, and we can kind of be somewhat regular for the remainder of the playoffs and kind of just, tell you what's what. But other than that, always, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, tell 2 friends, all of that stuff. NHL Bracket Challenge, make sure you get your brackets in. And we will get the Discord. Yeah, I'll have to definitely. I meant to look into that, and there's so many things on my plate. So definitely do the NHL Bracket Challenge. Join up with your other Teal Tinted Glasses friends, and we'll see who We can all laugh at my bracket because I think my bracket's awful. And we'll go from there. So have a good day, people, and I will see you hopefully this weekend, if not sooner. Have a good night. Bye.